time of the year, and the reason is quite simple, is that why must they go looking for stuff when stuff is just going to come to them at the end of a day, and in the end they just end up sitting around these areas until basically the rainy season comes again. Now, lions are difficult to see when they're lying up in grass like this, and it's predominantly because this time of the year a lion's fur color is the same color as the grass, and it's uncanny at how a lion or a lioness that is lying up in this area will disappear in this grass, especially if you start looking at it at a bit of an angle. So quite often what you're looking for with lions is the shape of their ears. They'll hear us walking through the bush. First thing a lion does is pick its head up, not necessarily sitting up. The first thing they do is pick their head up, and they prick their ears forward, and that very distinctive sort of clubbed, that double clubbed ear that they have is a profile that you get to recognize very quickly out here. And that is obviously why Herbert is such a fantastic addition, or a game scout is such a fantastic addition to these walks from a safety point of view. Because if you were close, for instance, and a lioness had cubs, or there was a lion on a kill, for instance, they quite often will prick their head up, they will confirm what you are, and then the ears turn from like this. Their ears actually, they turn this way, but they end up facing back, and the angrier they get, or the more they want to hide, the flatter their ears go, and the more they'll go down into the grass. What happens then is that they break that profile. Their heads become flat, their hair bristles up and blends in with the grass around them, and they become almost invisible. You just get these two yellow eyes staring at you out of the grass. And then of course quite often they'll rush out one or two steps at you just to try and scare you away. And then that massive contrast between lion-colored grass, that pink mouth with white teeth and black lips, is all designed to be very scary. And we react to that as well. It's supposed to be scary. That noise hits you in the chest. All of a sudden, the ground in front of you erupts to lions, and it's made to scare you away. Hazman, you want to know if the color of a lion's mane matters? I'm going to answer that question from two aspects. I'm assuming that you're just asking the question because you saw the mane with the cats that Ali was with, and so from a lion physiology point of view, female lions react to male lions with darker manes in a far more accepting manner, if I could put it to you that way. They're far more accepting of males with dark manes than they are of males with lighter colored manes, or blonde manes, or no manes at all. The reason for that is that a male lion, when he's in his prime, and when a male lion is in charge of a territory, in other words, successfully defends a territory, their testosterone levels increase. As their testosterone levels increase, they get those long black hairs that come out of their mane. So a male lion that's dominant in an area is an impressive sight from a distance away, and they will then be more attractive to females. And so a black maned lion signifies a male lion that's in his prime, that's strong, and that's holding a territory. All three of those things females find very attractive. The second thing is that male lions use their big shaggy manes to protect their head and their neck from being bitten by other male lions. So when lions fight with one another, when they scrap face to face, it's nothing serious. So even though it looks impressive, a male lion scrapping face to face is not too bad. A killing bite for a male lion is, as an opponent turns their head, a killing bite is at the top of the skull, right here, and underneath into the throat, so from the side, from the top, or across the lumbar region of the spine, across this back part of the spine. So quite often you'll see big male lions, especially male lions that have been holding onto territories, they'll have lots of scarring across their hip area, and that is those scars, he was almost killed in those areas. And then you'll also see lions with bite marks in their skulls here. It doesn't always go through the skull because of the mane, but quite often you'll find their noses are broken and they have piercings in their face and underneath their jawline here. And so the big ruff of hair, just to answer your question, the big ruff of hair helps protect the face against those types of bites and fills the opponent's mouth with fur and doesn't allow them to bite down as effectively as if they didn't have that ruff of hair. What stopped me here was the fact that this white thing here caught my eye, and I want to see what it is. So this time of the year, elephants are feeding mainly on roots and branches and leaves. Roots and branches and leaves. They're not feeding on grass. And when they kick out a root, like is what's happened here, they can sometimes uncover things. And I want to see what this is. I'm feeling that it's probably a snail shell that's been buried here. But it might actually be an egg of a big snake. But I think it's... So lizards, especially the water monitor, will bury eggs in the sides of termite mounds. But this is just a snail shell. So there we go. You can quite clearly see the colours of the snail shell there, and then the whorls as well. Now James, you want to know if there's anything in particular that I'd really like to see on Djuma now. James, this is the first walk of many that I'm probably going to be doing over the next couple of months. We'll be moving into our walking season, and we'll be doing a lot more walks going from now into January. And I think for now, I'd like to just calmly settle myself back into this area. Walking is a very subtle, I want to say very intimate connection with the bush. You need to be plugged in, as I call it, and it takes a while. It takes about a week or two before your senses are where they should be. And right now, I haven't been walking for 6 months here, and I feel alien to this place. It's a weird thing, but I don't want to walk and talk. I'm nervous going close to this drainage line. I'm looking for these lions in case they're over here, and it's because I've been distanced from here, and you get this feeling as a wilderness trails guide, you need to plug yourself in, you need to get settled, you need to listen to the birds and feel the weather and feel the seasons and feel the bush. And it's weird trying to describe it, but the only way that I can really describe it is by using the word, plugged in. It's going to take me about a week or two to get plugged in. And from then I'll be a lot more comfortable and feel a lot more at ease as I get to know this place. And then it'll start to get a bit safer as well. That said, you've always got to try and fight that urge for complacency out here. And it's complacency that'll get you killed. It's walking with your head down and not looking up into the bush. It's not reacting to the squirrel's alarm call or that slight crack of a broken branch, that noise that you hear as an elephant breaks a stick and then pauses to listen. And that is exactly what I'm needing to get back in touch with, is these subtle noises again, and this feeling basically. But it'll come, and definitely it's going to be exciting sharing this place's transformation over the seasons with you again. But why don't we go and see what Ali's up to, who's driving around in what is probably a bit more comfort than I am right now.
Well, we have found the company of a beautiful girl. Hello, spotted cat. Now, I think this one is Thandi, if I am not mistaken. But if you guys feel that this could be another one just by looking at the spot pattern, and I am suggesting Thandi because I know she stole Hasana's kill yesterday, and whoever this is has got a very round belly. So, somebody's had a good meal. Now, she seems to have kept on moving, so I don't know if she's maybe following up on something or if she's hunting, but the guys have been struggling to keep up with her because she's been quite erratic in her movements. It's quite a full belly that you've got there. Whew. Carried on, and as well, just as the lions did, she also took to the termite mound, and just like we saw Tamba did yesterday, took up to the termite mound as a vantage point to be able to see a little bit further in the distance, because not the tallest animal around. So let me try and keep up with her. Might be a little bit harder with the roof today. butt. Hey, give me back my jacket. Where are you going to go? Now, it seems like she's going to come into this open gap. So I'm gonna wait for a second here to see if she does indeed carry on coming this way. Hiding perfectly well. Where are you going? What are you up to? I wouldn't be surprised if she was actually in the mood looking for some more food. James, you agree with me that this is Thandi, the beautiful girl? Now, I'm very happy that yesterday we had Tamba, the sun, and today we've got Thandi. What a perfect circle. Now, I saw yesterday on Chitwa's page that Thandi actually stole Hosanna's kill. So I think that's why she's looking with a very nice big round belly, which I'm sure is very happy. But I wonder if perhaps she's just carry on looking for food, or she's looking for Tamba, because Tamba was left in the drainage line yesterday, or we left him going into the drainage line in quite a bit of a tough spot. So I don't know if maybe she's looking to try and find where he is just to keep tabs, or if she's just on a mission of her own, because whatever it is that she's up to, she's definitely busy. You see, she hasn't really stopped. She goes on a termite mound, she looks around, stops again, listens out, hears what's around her, and then carries on. But I suppose the only way to find out is just to look and keep her company. Poof, there we go. Unfortunately, we didn't see it, but she was definitely scent marking on that tree. Both male and female leopards would do it to advertise their presence in a specific territory. And she just turned around, sprayed some urine on the tree, and marked this area as hers. Now, let me try and go a little bit forward. Hopefully we'll be able to get her again. What an interesting spot you're taking us into, Thandi. Alright, let me try and get her again. John, you're wondering how Thandi and Tamba would react. Oh, there she is, right in front of us. I nearly missed her. How she would react if they bumped into each other. Well, Thandi would still recognize him, and they would still know that they're related and they've spent all this time together, and I'm sure there will be head rubbing and a greeting ceremony of sorts, but she wouldn't allow him to stay with her for too long. As the cubs grow older than the females, and this happens both with male and female offspring, they become more and more intolerant of their young ones, and it's a way of pretty much forcing them into independence. So I think they would still meet up, greet each other, maybe have a few moments together, and they will pretty much part their own ways. However, I've seen it on a handful of occasions where the young male cubs still try to hang around close to their mothers, and whenever they make a kill, they'll come in and then try to feed off that kill and just take advantage of the fact that mom is still around and can very likely provide for them, but not because she's looking to still make kills and bring them to them, but just because they know that they can. Hello. She is walking in a very difficult spot this morning, isn't she? I wonder. Nancy, you're wondering if she's taking over Karula's territory. Well, I think she is definitely, we've seen her a lot more than what we used to in the past, and her and Shadow, it's almost like they've had this pact. So Thandi has been sticking more to the southern area in the Molowati, whereas Shadow has been sticking more to the western side, and she's going further and further into Djuma. So I think they have both actually sort of moved in and started playing around, because as soon as there's a gap, you will often see that leopards will move in. So I think she's taken over a piece of it. And I find it quite fitting, because I think at least everything stays in the family. So, if it had to go to anyone, I think it's a good thing that it's gone to one of her daughters, which obviously grew up around this area. Woo! And they know this area, so they know where to go, where to hide, and where to hunt. Alright, pretty girl. I'm sorry, you don't like the roof. I'm gonna give you lots of space. Alright. Just like her son, she takes to termite mounds. Now we can definitely know where he got that from. If she goes on top of the termite mound, it's going to be wonderful. Paula, you're wondering if cubs ever refuse to leave their mothers. Well, they don't do it willingly. It's not like once the mother starts becoming less tolerant of them, that they're happy to be on their own and not have somebody else hunt and bring them food or bring them to food. So there's always a bit of a stressful time for the cubs. And they don't, like I said, they don't do it willingly, but the mothers can become quite aggressive towards them just so that they understand they're not welcome anymore. So it's always a tough time in the life of a leopard. Oh. So I've just got to try and direct now someone into this sighting. Standing by. Where are you going? Alright, I think I'm going to try. Oh. Carry on coming along the fire break. She's busy walking northwest in the block. We'll try to direct you from there. Okay. I don't know where I'm going to be able to go. Eastern side of Shibamu. She's still east from Shibamu, but she's heading slowly in that direction. We're just following her in the middle of the block. Alright, let me see where I can go. Now, I know Thandi, she likes her personal space, and sometimes because we don't use roofs all the time, some of the creatures don't particularly enjoy seeing them too much. So I'm going to give her space so that we can enjoy her company for quite a while. Ooh, got attacked. I think while we try to follow this beautiful leopard, let's go across to Stef, who's still exploring Djuma on foot.
I'm exploring Djuma on foot, and we've come to an old friend, and I'm sure that you will appreciate this as well. This is the sausage pod tree that is in Philemon's Dip, and last year we saw some flowers in the tree as well, but a massive storm ripped all the flowers off before they could get pollinated, and this particular tree never made any fruit last year. And this year we're holding thumbs that her flowers get pollinated and that she produces those fantastic sausage pods that we'd so dearly like to see from this tree. And the reason why I say she's quite special is because this is the only sausage pod tree that we've managed to find on Djuma. There are some in the camp, but there are none growing wild here, and it's because we don't have any large permanent rivers here. They are a riverine specialist. That is why she's growing in this particular area, but because there's no permanent water here, there's not the perfect environment for them. And so she basically doesn't have many friends, if I could put it to you that way. But let's see if we can find a flower, because they've got the most unbelievably beautiful flowers. It's this deep maroon red flower with this beautiful throat. I thought I actually saw one when we came up here, or when I was walking down here. Is there one? But yeah, you want to know if there's species of plants that indicate that they are edible. That's actually a very good question. There are definitely species of plants out here that indicate that they're species. Sorry, Louisa, just go with that again. Sorry, but I'll be with you now when I get the question. I'm still not getting it, Louise. Sorry, man. Where we are. Let me carry. Here's a flower here. Come here. Oh, are there signs on plants? Sorry, sorry about that. You know, it's rusty and my ears are blocked, and you know how it goes over here. Are there signs of plants that indicate that they're edible? And I still think that's a good question, even though I massacred your question to start with, and please excuse me for that. There definitely are signs that show that they are inedible. Thorns, for instance, the color red, the color combinations of red, yellow and black, red and black, any of these color combinations show, listen, don't eat me, there's a potential that I'm toxic. Fur, lots of thorns, a milky latex, sticky milky latex, caustic fluids, are all signs that fruit shouldn't be eaten. But your question is interesting because you've asked it from the reciprocal. You've asked it from, are there signs that they can be eaten? And I suppose that's a good thing. I mean, I'm going to use the prime example of a marula. When you look at a marula, it's yellow and it's juicy and it's succulent, and all you want to do is break the skin and taste it. And I suppose in a way, our bodies react to fruit that looks edible. A fruit that doesn't look edible, you have this pause, if I could say. You don't quite know. You want to take it, touch it, feel it. Quite often they're not very juicy or succulent. You want to taste it on the tip of your tongue to find out if it's burning or if it creates a funny tingling sensation. But anyway, what is going to be interesting is keep on watching, and as the fruits start to develop throughout the rest of the season, so going September back into December, we're going to get a lot of fruit here, ending with the abundance that is the Marula Fest between February and April. And we'll be eating a lot of things on this bushwalk, I'm sure. Now, one of the flowers that I think I found, and of course, now that I'd like to show you one. Can you see one? Yeah. VM's eagle eye. Yeah, it was just one that was in there. So we're going to try and see if we can show you. Excuse us playing with the settings on the camera as we pointed up into this very grey. Oh, there, you're right here close to us. Hey?
Yeah, I got it.
There you've got the flower. So they grow on these stalks, a couple of flowers at a time, and you can actually see that this one is busy uncurling now. And I see now that I'm looking, I can see a couple of other stalks. She hasn't quite put on her full show just yet, but she will get there. And just have a look at that beautiful. That is VM's doing a fantastic job there, holding this camera as steady as possible at quite an extreme zoom. And now that flower, once pollinated, will then turn into a seed pod called a sausage pod, which can weigh up to 10 pounds. Can you believe it? And that's why this tree is revered so much, as it plays an important role in sort of the Shangaan culture out here. And that is this tree. Pretty nice. Sausage pod tree. Paula, you'd like to know how long it takes for a sausage fruit to grow. Paula, let's hope that this tree pollinates herself pretty quickly. The bees and the beetles that will be pollinating and the birds that will be pollinating these flowers will do so quite quick. And by about January, February, the pods will be about this big, about this round, and about this big. And I'm hoping that this year, this particular tree manages to produce some seeds, and that those seeds germinate somewhere along this river, and that we start to get some baby sausage pods. This particular tree, I think, has it in the wars every time. This is now my fourth summer that I'll be here, and I've never seen her produce fruit. And it's because every time she produces some flowers of some sort, some catastrophe happens. For the first 2 years it was a drought, no flowers were produced, and then last year was a massive storm that knocked all her flowers off, and she didn't even have one flower left for the rest of the year. And so this year I'm hoping that she... Come and have a look here, Viam. Now I'm going to put my finger on this thing here. You can see if you can see it. Can you see it yet? So at the end of my finger is a spider. It's called a crab spider, wall crab spider. Can you see it yet? Its head How amazing is that, everybody? Let me get a piece of grass so I can show you some features on her. I'm going to try and find her again. Okay, so here's her spinnerets. There, from there to there. This is her abdomen. There. This is her cephalothorax with her eyes. The tip of my grass there. And then she's got groups of legs. Here's one here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. Whoop, there she goes. Isn't that incredible, everyone? Flat wall or wall crab spider. And they will be camouflaged like that because this is their hunt. They're free roaming spiders, and they will roam around perfectly camouflaged on bark like this, ambushing insects that land on this tree. So insects will land on the tree to gain some height, suck some sap, find a place to hide or whatever they want to do, hunt other insects. That crab spider reacts to movement, will come and run into an area, and then you saw how quick that spider was. Ambush an insect that lands on there. Isn't that cool? A flat wall crab spider. And so camouflaged, I can't even see her right now. Amazing. Well, anyway, good luck, girl. Just give you some positive energy. Hopefully the elements are not against you this year, and you manage to produce some babies this year. That's what you got to try and do this year. Anyway, Louise says I should give her a bit of hug, give her a bit of energy. Ah, yeah, the first tree I'm giving a hug in Djuma back again. Like, hugging trees is a good thing. I enjoy hugging trees. You know, you don't know how long these trees have been standing here for, like how many stories they've got to tell. And there's just, giving hugs is always a good thing, but giving hugs to trees is also a very good thing. I finally got my little boy is 5 years old, and I finally got him hugging trees as well. He was a bit skeptical initially, which is understandable. I mean, his dad, bit of a freak, hugging trees all the time. But he finally understands what it's all about. So, anyway, good luck. We'll see you as the season progresses. Right, and look at anything you want. Come have a look here. These termites are busy eating this wood, and it's part of the breaking down process. And what they've done is they've created this mud covering so that they're running away now. You'll probably find it. Here's some here to the left out there. So they're busy eating the wood, and you can see how they've eaten the wood off here. It's a different color to the outside wood, and they cover themselves in mud so they don't get preyed upon, one, but also so that the sun doesn't burn them. You can see they lack any dark coloring, and that is because they lack melanin, and so UV really hurts them. And although this will do no damage, I haven't broken their entire covering, they will move away from the light and stay in the dark. Alright, now Ali seems to have gotten through that thick bush that she was driving through, and she's sitting with that leopard cub just for you.
Well, thick bush carries on. However, we have managed to keep up with her, and she is walking what it seems straight into Treehouse Dam. So I'm hoping she's gonna go there for a drink, because we are pretty much in the middle of the block away from any possible road. So she's steadily headed in that direction. So we're going to try and keep up with her as she does, and as she disappears in the bushes. She's definitely up to something, and I find it interesting that she didn't drink at Twin Dams, or that she's carried on moving in this particular path, because this area, Shadow has been using it a lot when she crosses back from either Huffman's or Little Gowrie, and then she comes back into Vuyatela. So I wonder if perhaps Thandi's not picked up the sense of Shadow from a few days ago, although with the rain that would be quite hard. But let's just carry on following and see what she's up to this morning. Now she has dragged us through some very thick bushes, so I'm hoping she carries on going like this, because then we'll go back to an area that's a little bit easier for us to follow her. Oh, there she is standing. So I can't go closer to her because unfortunately where she's walking is very thick and lots of branches and stumps, so we're trying to keep her on sight. Jody, you're wondering how long can a leopard go without water? Well, the leopards have to drink daily, and we see them drinking, but they can only drink once a day, or if they have to, they can survive with drinking just once a day, and then they'll drink for quite a long while and then carry on. Sometimes if the water is not available, perhaps you'll see that they'll be capable of going without water for maybe 2 days or so, but they have to drink. They're not like some of the antelope species that get all the moisture from everything that they eat, so that they can go sometimes even a week without eating. Now, there's clearly something there that got her attention. I wonder what it is. Where are you going to go? Will you carry on towards Treehouse Dam? That would be much appreciated on our side. Now, let me just... She carried on moving. Can't really see her anymore, so I'm gonna try going around this termite mound just to make sure that she's carried on walking. Ah, there she is again. Okay, so she has carried on in the same direction, so I'm gonna try and go around this termite mound that's here on our right hand side and then get to her again once more. Okay, she's in front of us. She seems to be stalking. Like all over her posture, the way her tail's flicking. There we go. Hello, Thandi. Where are you going? Where are you gonna head off? Alright, don't go in that direction too much. Carry on going north. We would like you very much to go into Treehouse Dam so that we can have a beautiful look of you. Alright, I think we're going to start heading into a bit of a thicker area as well, because now she's completely disappeared for us in the bushes and I can't see her anymore. So I just want to keep up with her just in case she changes direction. Nope, she hasn't changed direction. I can see her going into another termite mound. Wonderful. I must say, it's very obliging of her and her son to always go on top of termite mounds. There we go, she's in front of us. I'm gonna stop here just to give her enough space. We've been attacked by all sorts of branches with the roof. It's a lot easier driving around without it, but I think so far we can't really complain as we've been lucky. Now she's on top of the termite mound, tail constantly flicking. So she is probably stalking looking for food, which means that, you see, even with the full belly, she's still up to something. I haven't been able to see any prey species around. She's still moving north. We're getting closer to the dam itself. Oh. Joe, you're wondering how we can distinguish if she's got a full tummy or if she's pregnant. Well, she could be pregnant, but because she was mating with a male leopard a few weeks ago. However, we also know that she stole somebody else's kill yesterday because they saw her do it. So I think this full belly is likely a food baby rather than an actual baby. She's just gone static on a mound now. Maybe I think you should be able to get my audio from the dam itself. Where am I gonna go now? Just directly south from the dam. Hello, girl. Now, what are you looking at in the distance? We are not too far from the dam, and there's somebody that would like to come and have a look, so I'm going to be on the radio on and off, just trying to direct them in here. Thandi, what a long day it's been for you. You've been missioning. Now, it's always quite something to see her or to see any sort of leopard on top of a termite mound. And I do know that there's this odd branch in the way, but if I go around her, I'm going to disturb her quite a bit. So I would prefer not doing that, because I don't think she's going to lay here for too long. More likely than not, she's going to carry on moving. So I'm just going to give her some time to settle and probably rest, because she's been walking quite a bit. Seems like I've got to direct somebody else, or try to direct somebody else into this very thick block. So while I do that, let's go over to Stef, who's found something on the ground. Charles, really, Charles?
Definitely is amazing at how these vehicles get everywhere and follow these animals and are able to allow us to share in their lives like we do. It's spectacular. Another thing that allows us to share in the lives of animals is the detritus that they leave behind. And can you believe it that ants have a refuse dump? They have a dustbin site. Now these ants, I don't know what ants they are. I call them bull-headed ants, but it's because they've got such a big bulbous head. But they're unique to me in that they cement the entrances of their nests with this white deposit that you see there, which when it dries, it's a bit wet now, and I've noticed that it is water soluble, but when it dries into this most unbelievably hard concrete-like material. But there you can see, or you may have seen, these ants have collected stores of grain and seeds over the course of the summer, and now we'll be eating it, but that builds up a lot of rubbish. And so here comes one now. You can see with that little bit of rubbish that it has. And that'll walk then to the edge of the nest and will deposit the detritus in a refuse dump. And all of this that you're having a look at now is the refuse of these ants from their summer collections of grass and seeds. Isn't that incredible? And further along, you might even find that they've got a cemetery. So quite often they don't bury their young inside. And have a look here. Let me show you. They've even managed to kill a termite, a soldier termite. Now that is a formidable. Have a look at that. I don't know if I've seen these guys eating snails before. So they're not only grainivorous, but they also tend to be predatory at times. And that is testimony to that. Isn't that super cool? So you can come and tell a lot about these ants, what they eat, what they don't eat, just by looking. Very similar to human archaeologists, actually, who can tell a lot about a civilization just from the rubbish and the detritus that they leave behind. These ants are fascinating. Incredibly strong. You can see that they've got quite big heads with very strong jaws. Octogirly, you want to know if there's any ants that are similar to fire ants. We do have a fire ant out here, Octogirly. It's called a slender ant. They're part of the I think the genus of ants is called let me try and remember what it is now. It's not Campanotus, a Chromatogaster. That's it, Chromatogaster ants, and they live in trees, slender ants here, and they can sting the 7 types of colors out of a person. And so yes, we do have fire ants, not like the fire ants that you find in the US that live on the ground, as far as I know, and can actually be a health hazard in most areas. In areas like this, in South Africa, we just have these ants and a few other species. Very few ants are actually of sort of medical importance to be able to do anything significant to you. In the Mara, we have the East African safari ant, which bites and stings. But the sting is made up of mainly formic acid, and so is mainly painful, but not with any sort of virulent toxins associated to other bees and wasps and other ant species like the bullet ant, for instance. So yeah, we do have a lot of stinging stuff out here, a lot of stinging ants, a lot of biting ants, but nothing like your North American fire ant. But we do have the chromatogasters here, which do sting and do bite, very similar to the fire ants from the same group of ants. That was actually quite nice. I came down this drainage line because I want to show you some flowers that are growing on this tree. And now it's down here. We've got this, I don't actually know what it is, but it's a creeper that is flowering in that tree with a lovely spray of flowers. That's attracting a bunch of sunbirds, which we can hear. So that very high-pitched tweeting is from a white-bellied sunbird, which is in the center top of that bush. So we've got some birds singing at the moment. Let's see if I can identify them. It's a bit of a game when you haven't been here for a long time. So that's a white-bellied sunbird, and then we've had the puffback shrike. There's hornbills, red-billed hornbills, yellow-billed hornbills. And that's what I can hear. Oh, and I can hear crested barbet. Come and have a look here while I try and decipher the rest. So, very white deposit of fairly large dung, as you can see here. This is the dung of a spotted hyena. And it's white because of the oxidation of phosphorus and calcium. And that will give you an idea about how much bone these hyena can actually utilize. Lion, for instance, will chomp through bones relatively easier, and they've got the same sort of strength jaws. But quite often they'll regurgitate up the bones, and their dung, although full of fur and bones, their digestive system isn't nearly as effective as hyenas are at digesting. And I think it's because hyenas have got a slightly more effective or efficient digestive system. They can digest the bones a little bit more, and so you get very fine particles of bone coming through in their feces, which obviously then oxidize white in the sun, and in turn are used by tortoises and a bunch of other animals to augment their mineral deficiencies, particularly calcium and phosphorus. And in the case of tortoises, will allow some tortoises to lay hard-shelled eggs if they can get enough of this dung ingested before they lay eggs. Interesting, hey? All right, so from one spotted creature back to another with Ali and her leopard.
It is Ali and Thandi. Woo-hoo-hoo. Very excited to still be with her. She did take us through some very tough areas, and it was a little bit complicated because she was actually in the middle of this massive block, and we're still not that close to any road, although faintly in the distance we can almost see Treehouse Dam. So I think maybe that's where she's going to head when she decides to go and have a drink, because besides Trindam's is pretty much the only water around here. Seems like she's been walking for quite a bit this morning, so I wonder if... Was that a little bit of... Oh, hello. Yeah, someone's tired. You've been walking quite a bit. Oh. In this case, I'm glad I jinxed it, because maybe she's going to carry on heading off to Treehouse Dam and then have a drink from there, and we'll be able to have a nice view of her. Alright, I'm going to try and get us out of here, because as you can see, she is busy scent marking her territory. And I think maybe Shadow's been walking around here, because the other day when we had her and the cub drinking from Treehouse Dam, this is pretty much the same path that Shadow walked. So I think maybe that's what she's up to. Now, I'm gonna have to try and get us out of here. Hopefully that won't be too much of a mission as it was coming in. But I think it's a little bit more open the more she carries on walking in that direction. Do we have a flat tire? Oh, okay. Senzo just looked around and I was a little bit worried because we've been driving over lots of things. Alright, she has stopped once more, so she's being very cautious today in the way that she's been walking. What is it in there? I almost thought that perhaps there was a hare or something hiding in between those bushes. and that's why she left the way she did. But I think it's going to... Ah, there we go, scent marking again. Definitely following this path. So it'll be interesting if the sisters do eventually meet up around here, because we've seen what happened when her and Shongile met, and I think Thandi had the upper hand just because she's a bigger leopard and older and more experienced. But when confronted with somebody her own age, like her sister Thandi, then I think things might be different. Sorry, Senzo, just watch out. Okay, there's gonna be one more, but she's heading roughly in this direction, so I want to catch her before she heads into the road. I think the worst part hopefully is finished. Don't know if we're gonna make it through here. Come on, Wendy. Don't branch us in the face. Alright. Seems like we have survived. Sorry, this is quite a big branch and we don't really want to be hit in the face by such a big branch. It would be very painful. Now, I've got to find Thandi again. I have temporarily lost sight of her, but I'm sure she's somewhere around. There we go, I see a tail. Oh, look at her. Are you gonna jump? She stood up on the marula tree. Beautiful girl. Gazing into the distance. Huh. We've had leopard and termite mound, leopard and marula tree. Well, not a marula, bush willow. Christina, you're wondering if the white underneath her tail is for communication. It has been theorized that it is. The general consensus seems to be that the white tip of the tail also helps in visual communication, especially when the mothers are walking and the little ones are following or trailing behind the grass, because the little ones are very little, and they use the white underneath the tail like a beacon to be able to follow their mothers and find out where they're going in between the grass. Now I think, yep, she's gonna go back down, so we're going to carry on following her. It is amazing when they walk in between all the bushes and the trees like this, isn't it? Just gives you that idea of what an elusive, secretive animal it is. So quickly it disappears, and so quietly. Now I want to go slightly forward, see what she gets up to. Look, Senza, an open area. I'm so happy. And every big marula tree that she's passed, she's stopped and started urine spraying. Every single one of them. So I think we've actually caught her on a territorial patrol. And maybe earlier on she was just looking, because there could have been a potential prey that might have gotten her attention. But I think she's just asserting her dominance in this territory. Would be awesome if she did start it to call. But I think for now she's focusing more on the olfactory communication and just spraying everything around her. Okay, she stopped in a bit of a complicated spot, so I'm gonna go slightly forward because we can't get a view of her from where we are. Alright, there we go. There she is. Cute chemistry, you're wondering if different species of cats have overlapping territories. Yes, they do. So for now, Thandi has been moving in an area that the Sixth Pride of Lions has used as of late, and also the Nkahumas and the Birmingham Boys. And her territory, funny enough, is also, or this part where she's been certain marking, overlaps with where we've seen her sister, also another female leopard, marking all around this area. So different species can overlap different territories, and also different individuals of the same species can sometimes overlap. However, because they are territorial creatures, they don't allow other animals to actually or willingly overlap their territory. So this is why she's marking it. She's just making it known, probably to Shadow, which is her sister, that she's claiming this area as hers, and I'm sure if Shadow comes around, then she'll do the same. She'll mark it against Thandi. Just want to see where she goes. Diane, you're wondering if maybe Thandi is looking for Shadow because she can smell her. Well, I don't think that she's actively hunting Shadow down or looking for her, but she very likely can smell where Shadow has scent marked before around this area. So now she is scent marking on top of those marks just to make it well known that this belongs to her. All right, where are you gonna go? I'm gonna park here. Hopefully she'll come into the road and we'll see her cross. Yeah, a road. Thankfully, it's been a while. I would prefer you if you carried on going towards Treehouse Dam. Hopefully. I'm just keeping an eye on her, see where she wants to go, because she's kept looking in every direction, so I'm not too sure, but there she comes. She's gonna come onto the road. Beautiful girl. I think she is definitely going onto the dam, which I'm very happy about. Bless you, Senzo. What you looking at? What is that in the distance? I think she's still got the... You see, she's gone on top of another termite mound in front of us. Again, she's taken to the height to scan the area and see what's around her. So I wonder if perhaps Shadow isn't around somewhere. And that's why she's been so profusely marking. Seems like Stef has managed to find a tiny small thing that sometimes leopards like to eat. So let's go over to him and find out if he's ever eaten one.
Leopards definitely like to eat these and other small creatures as well, you know, and I'd like to say that leopard probably elicit the most nervous response from any of the smaller social animals. So from monkeys through to mongoose, they all got a healthy respect for leopard because of the fact that I think leopard, when they're young, do hunt them often. What you noticed there was just the flight response from this group of mongoose, and they've been sleeping in this termite mound last night. These are dwarf mongoose, the smallest mongoose that we find out here, and they sleep in termite mounds mainly because they offer ready-made shelters, but also I think because termite mounds are very warm. There's one coming over the top. They're just poking their head out. Now they're very inquisitive things, mongoose. And what you're going to find is you're going to find that they won't be able to resist the temptation to come and inspect what we're doing, albeit very shyly, and they'll do it with great attitudes. Now, from a little bit earlier on, I explained that animals don't enjoy the presence of humans on foot. And very similar to leopard, humans have been hunting these little creatures for tens of thousands of years, and they're almost genetically programmed to distrust and mistrust, create space, bipedal man. And in this particular case, myself and Virma are hiding out in a bush about 10 yards or so from this group. They're just waking up. They slept in this termite mound last night, and this time of the year they'll get going a little bit earlier than they normally would in summer, mainly because to find the insect prey that they feed on takes time. There's not a lot of insects around at the moment. There are definitely around, but there's not a lot of insects, and so finding enough to feed a family takes a bit of time. And they'll want to find another termite mound, an unoccupied termite mound that doesn't have any snakes or anything else in it before the sun goes down, and they will then sleep for the night. Isn't that cute? I love their faces. I think if these guys were as big as the leopard you were watching with Ali, humans wouldn't nearly have the dominance that we have. Now these families, for lack of a better word, are singularly led by an alpha male and female. All the rest are their offspring, and as soon as adolescent mongoose mature into adults, they are seen off, and they then walk around and pair up with other adults and create troops of mongoose of their own. And I would say that they're probably the most common predator here, mammalian predator here, terrestrial mammalian predator, is these dwarf mongoose. And they can become very precocious. We've got one group that lives around the camp, and they feel nothing for coming in to camp. Now, David from Napa, you wanted to know if something was in this termite mound, or there was a lack of termite mounds, where would they sleep? David, they would sleep in fallen down logs, in cavities in logs and stumps. But generally, where you see termite mounds, you'll find dwarf mongoose, and where you don't see termite mounds, they won't be nearly as common. I think because the Sabi Sand Game Reserve has such an abundance of very large termite mounds, the population of dwarf mongoose is very high. Obviously, the carrying capacity of the bush is not just on one factor alone, and so it's not just the superabundance of termite mounds that makes it easy for these mongoose to live in these big areas, but it would also be the availability of food and lack of being preyed upon by large birds of prey. So large birds of prey that would prey on these guys include almost all the eagles, and a lot of the eagles actually move away from here in the winter time, coming back in the summer, which gives the young mongoose time to grow up and learn how to beware. There's also a large number of snakes here that would prey on dwarf mongoose. Python, absolutely, snouted cobra, black mamba would all prey on mongoose, but they also they're less active in the winter. And I think that this period, the summer-winter period, allows for mongoose to get healthy quicker and to therefore have a better chance at survival. You do see mongoose, dwarf mongoose in the Mara, but by far and more common is the banded mongoose there. And I didn't see dwarf mongoose until basically Zambia on my trip down. You saw banded mongoose all the way down to southern Zambia, and then from southern Zambia all the way here you get the dwarf mongoose. You do find banded mongoose here, but they're not nearly as common as these little dwarfies, and quite nicely so. See this? Natal Guari's flowers are starting to come out. Now, Jared, you wanted to know, do these mongoose eat snakes? I suppose you're getting that from a cartoon. I know when, trying to think about where you could have seen mongoose eating snakes. There was that cartoon, Riki Tiki Tavi, which is a story about a mongoose fighting off cobras. And in India, Oh, sorry, it's a book. Viam's just confirmed it's a book. So it's a story about a mongoose who fights off a cobra. And you absolutely get mongoose versus cobra in these Indian markets where for money people will pit animals against one another. Mongoose being so precocious and sharing this environment with a lot of dangerous snakes, quite often will see snakes off of an area, and they will put a mongoose against a snake, and a mongoose will quite often be able to see that snake off, or at least cause the snake to shy away. Does that mean that they eat snakes? No. The larger mongooses will absolutely be able to kill snakes, and they will eat them, but generally speaking they will just mob snakes off, and that includes these little dwarf mongoose. Even fairly large snakes, black mambas and cobras, they will be able to see off. And I mean, it is possible. I've seen a dwarf mongoose be spat in the face by a spitting cobra and was blinded and was left behind by the troop, in actual fact. They could fall victim to snakes as well. But do they hunt snakes is what is the point I'm trying to get to and answer for you. I don't think so, no. It's not uncommon, I think, to find snakes in their diets, but I don't think you're going to find it as a common thing. These little guys here eat almost entirely just insects and not hunting for snakes. This is nice to see. This is a rhinoceros midden. For those of you who haven't seen that rhinos make middens before, this is evidence of it. So this is a rhino toilet, basically. A white rhinoceros, and I know that because of the presence of grass. If it was a black rhinoceros, it would have sticks. This is just grass, as you can see, no sticks. So this is the latrine site of a rhinoceros, and probably of a male rhinoceros, because it's been kicked and dispersed. Male rhinos kick their dung, female rhinos do not, and so this is the dung of a male rhinoceros. And it's nice to know that they're in this area. Rhinos, of course, being poached heavily, and have been poached heavily for a couple of years, and it's quite a sad story, but you know, that's for another day. Right now we've got a leopard still on camera with Ali, and why don't you go and have a look at what they're up to?
She's sat down again. I think she's been walking quite a while, or quite a bit, even before we got her, so I can't really blame her for sitting down. Sorry, I just need to answer the radio. Negative, you can just come where you saw me. She's just gone static here. She's laying down. Alright, now it seemed like she was gonna carry on heading straight north, but now maybe she's gonna head back onto Treehouse Dam, so I'm not too sure what she's up to. I don't think she knows where she wants to go. She keeps changing her mind. She'll go in a direction and then all of a sudden stop and be like, probably not. And then poof, goes into another one. The good thing is now that this has become a little bit easier for us to follow her, which I'm really happy about. Now, updates on the radio, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to go there because we are slightly far away, but it's a great opportunity perhaps for Stef to follow up in the afternoon. Seems like the hyenas have brought a piece of Kruger to the den, and there are 3 different sets of youngsters feeding upon the kill, and they're all around there, which is great news for us, and it gives us something to look forward for this afternoon. I think because of the amount of standbys that there are waiting to get into that sighting and the amount of time that we've got left in the show, I think we're going to stick around with Thandi, because I highly doubt that we're going to be able to have a look this morning. But we do know where they are. We know where they hang out in. So, we're going to be able to go and have a look this afternoon. How are you doing? You see, she's panting. So I'm sure she's feeling hot, although it's been a morning on the cold side. Not panting, but breathing quickly, so I think she's been doing a lot of exercise. And I would say she's already walked a few Ks, per around maybe 3 Ks or so, just in terms of all the loops that she's been doing all around. So she's had a good morning walk already. I don't think, however, that she's going to stick around here for too long, because earlier on she was just standing next to the tree, and then she sat down, and now she's lying down. So and you can see that she still hasn't decided that this is a good place to sleep, so I don't think she's done moving. Maybe she's just resting. Heather, you're wondering if she is sticking around close to the trees, or if she's laying around close to the trees because she feels safety, or for safety. It could be. Leopards feel very safe in thick vegetation, and often that's where they'll go when they are either going hunting and they want to stalk something, or they're hiding from somewhere, or even where they hide their cubs when they're tiny little creatures. So it'll be either in a drainage line like this one, or where there's very thick vegetation, or close to trees where they can jump up and step away from danger should need arise to. I think in this case the tree just happened to be there, and maybe she feels comfortable having the tree there in between her and us. Although she hasn't showed any sign of aggression towards us. I think she's just doing her own thing this morning. I think it's been a bit of a mix between patrol territory, which animals spend a lot of time doing, particularly territorial animals like lions and leopards, but I think also a little bit of indecisiveness. I would assume that she wanted to go and have a drink, and I think now she remembered that the dam is not too far, so she keeps gazing in the direction of the dam. But I don't know if maybe she's just got more pressing matters, or which is going to override, the need for a drink or the need to carry on scent marking. But you can see she's definitely still up to something. Tasman, you're wondering if a leopard's urine smells like popcorn. It does. It actually funny, especially for the male leopards, it does smell like buttery popcorn, and I don't know why it smells this way, but often when we drive around and we pick up that smell, we laugh, because like, popcorn, there was a leopard somewhere around here. So So yes, it does. That is true. It's very strong smell, and probably such a strong smell is meant to last longer, so that the smell where a particular animal has marked its territory will last a lot longer, so to serve as an advertisement for the next leopard that comes around and can already smell it and be like, okay, this area has already been marked. You see, she's quite indecisive today. I think she's getting tired, and maybe it's about time for her to maybe relax and have a bit of a nap, but I think also she doesn't really want to. She seems to be conflicted. It's funny, that look of her reminds me a lot of a leopard called Magon's one, which I think it was actually Mbula's mom, if I'm not mistaken. And the same, that look on her face. A bit of grooming going on. She has been walking through some tough areas this morning, so lots of ticks and seeds and everything that's been attaching to her skin or her coat. Cute chemistry, you're wondering, in my opinion, which animal is the biggest diva. Is that correct, Lou? Divas. Well, I think lions, to be honest. Male lions are the biggest divas around. You will always see them lying down in the wind, blowing in their mane, and their mane stepping away from their faces and always looking so regal. So I think male lions are the biggest divas around. I always like to look pretty and, just be adored. So if I had to choose one, I would go for male lions.
Doing it,
Hey? Yeah, the way that they move their hair and their mane in the wind. The way they start sniffing around and pretending that they're sniffing, but actually all they want to do is show off their mane. Male lions for sure. Yeah. Lou's bringing up another point, saying that also they like being provided for. So, yeah, I think male lions win the diva competition. I think the female lions and leopards are very, how can I say this, very industrial, very laborious. They're always up to something, either providing for their young ones or scent marking. They always seem to be busy bees, as we've seen with Thandi today. It was the first time that she's actually started grooming herself. Career driven. Yes, that's probably a better way of calling these beautiful gals. Now, it's a little bit wet, so I'm sure Thandi's coat is not as clean as it should be, and maybe there are little seeds here and there that are bothering her, and that's why she started grooming. Trying to get rid of some of the things. Maybe she is finally done for the day, and she's decided to lay down. However, with this weather, I don't think she's going to be here this afternoon. Likely she would have moved off, or she will move off and carry on somewhere else. But she is going, I have never seen her this far up. She normally sticks more to the Molowati, and it's interesting because often when we see female leopard tracks in this area, we tend to think that it's shadow, but now we know that Thandi also walks in this particular, following this particular direction. I am sorry, but we've just discovered that. We always thought it was shadow. She's like, ugh, humans, you understand nothing. Maybe she's scratching out some ticks. And talking about little things, annoying little things, let's go over to Stef, who's managed to find some more tiny creatures.
I've found some more tiny creatures myself, being close to this fallen down greenthorn, and it allows us, not unique, but I mean it allows us an opportunity to see a full-grown greenthorn's thorn, which is where they get their name from, and also allows me to discuss the difference between a thorn and a spine. So there Viam's busy showing you the green thorn that this gets its name from, and it's a double thorn. It's one of the diagnostic features of a green thorn is the fact that it has a double thorn. So if you have a look over here, you'll see that the main thorn comes out and it's got a little side thorn on it. Now the only other plant out here that has a similar double pronged thorn is a num-num, which has a Y-shaped thorn of equal length. This one has got an uneven. One is longer than the other. And what is nice about this is that also you can see the green thorn, and that would indicate that there's chlorophyll inside the thorn. In other words, the thorns themselves can photosynthesize and produce food for the plant, but it also allows me to show you the difference between a thorn and a spine. A thorn in this particular case is a modified leaf, whereas a spine is a modified branch. And although as the tree gets older, as you can see here, the tree turns the thorn into a very woody, very formidable defense mechanism. Initially it starts off as a soft green leaf, sharp cylindrical leaf that is able to help the plant produce food. And only when the plant reaches a suitable size and has enough leaves will the plant then take away the sort of the ability of the thorn to produce food for it. It doesn't need it, and then can turn it into woody, more woody appendage, which then helps with the protection. Now, I like green thorns. There's so many uses. I can't wait for the fruit to come out. So this is one of the trees that produces a very awesome fruit. But also, they're used in traditional medicine quite a lot. The tree itself has saponific bark, and so if you cut through this, and I'm going to spark myself here, but let me see if I can get you some of this bark. So there you go. So some of the bark coming off there. So if you take this, enough of it, you buy it in African traditional medicine markets, you buy it by sort of the pound basically, and you then pound this in a mortar and a pestle, and then you put it in your bath. It then makes foam. It makes a foamy, soapy solution, which is actually quite refreshing to bath in. And even now, if I'm crushing it like this, you can start to see, I can feel it on my fingers. It's starting to gel up. I think if I added some water, we'd be able to get a nice soap from it. And it's got the most unbelievable summer green smell. So like if I were to, it's like a cut grass, a very thick, dense forest, riverine forest. Oh, that is a lovely smell. It was like herald summer. Wow. So a lot of people will then wash in this. The root is sold as a body wash, a cleansing, refreshing body wash. In particular, if you are looking to perform well in an interview for a new job, the traditional healers would prescribe having a bath and a rinse underneath a greenthorn bark, and it supposedly adds a refreshing, invigorating look to your skin and to your persona, which of course makes for a good first impression. And if you were going to go and look for a job, good first impressions and clean, healthy smelling skin, of course, works wonders. And so this is a tree that outside of the reserves is actually not that common because of their use in traditional medicine. Another very good use of this is this bark as it is in its form here. If I had to take the water that I'd bathed in and put it into fresh water, is deadly for mollusks. It's got a compound in it that kills snails almost instantaneously, and is therefore a very good treatment for Bilharzia infested water. Bilharzia is an organism, I can't remember, it's a protozoan, I think, bacteria, that lives in a snail, a freshwater snail, and in humans, and is spread through human waste, a high concentration of human feces in the water, which the snail then ingests, and that's how the life cycle of Bilharzia is proliferated. But a wash of this bark is instantly killing for Bilharzia. Very good treatment. Unfortunately, it also kills all the other mollusks in that particular water body, so not only good for Bilharzia but bad for other snails as well. So you've got to be careful with these sort of things, that they don't have a ripple effect outside of what was intended. Yeah, good for your garden, VM says. Yeah, I suppose it would actually be. If you made a spritzer out of this and you sprayed snails in your garden, it would absolutely kill them. Very, very good for that. Anna Marie Louise, while I'm busy making my way through to breakfast, has asked, is the food very different in the Mara than here? Anna Marie, I'd like to say that yes and no. Amanda, which is our chef here, is a very gifted young chef. And David and Simon, well, Amanda's here, David and Simon, which are two chefs in the Mara, come from an environment, a cooking environment that is so alien to the Western palate that it's just been so refreshing to taste what they put onto our plates there. So very different from a cuisine point of view for us. But I'm also going to answer it from a food availability point of view, because I think that's probably what you were asking about, Anne-Marie. Do we find different types of fresh produce there than we do here? We eat a lot more goat up there. There's a lot more goat and mutton. Beef is you can get, but it's not as easily come by as here. We drink a lot more unpasteurized milk at our camp in the Mara, because the cold chains don't exist that do in South Africa, and so finding pasteurized milk in a bottle that hasn't reached the sell-by date is very difficult. So we drink a lot of unpasteurized milk, literally from the cow, which is a couple of miles from camp, to our kitchens on the same day, every single day. Vegetables, I think we have a fairly healthy selection of vegetables, not the same choice as we have here, once again because of the cold chain or the lack of a suitable cold chain in the Mara. And then we get other things there as well. So arrowroot, which is a tuber which grows under the ground, which people slice and then you cook. It's this most fantastic potato-esque tuber with a potato color with purple fibers on the inside that make fantastic colors, and you can fry them, you can boil them and eat them with cream cheese or whatever, the same as a potato. You also find cassava root north of Zambia, and cassava, you can do almost anything with cassava. Cassava is like maize basically. You just have, it's also a root and is used widely all over Africa. And then a lot of fish. So there's a lot more fish that's available close to camp than there is over here. So I suppose that's the difference there. I hope that answered your question. I didn't get it completely wrong. But it has come to that time of the day where we're going to be making our way back that way, I think, is where the camp is. Get my sense of direction back again. And so we might see you for the rest of the walk. But if I don't see you, goodbye, have a nice day wherever you are, and you off to Ali, who's still sitting with those leopard for the rest of the drive.
Beautiful Thandi it is. I think she's decided that this is her spot, at least for the next few hours. Doesn't seem like she's too active now, and she's carried on grooming since she last left us, and well, of course, now she's giving her back to us. She's been, quite thorough in the scratching and the grooming. Maybe she's picked up a few more ticks on the way here because of all the thick vegetation that she's been going into. And just before we saw her, that she was almost what they do when they start almost like biting themselves, pinching their own skin. I think she was trying to get some ticks off her legs, and I think, well, clearly now there's something that's annoying her close to her neck. And just like with normal cats and dogs, ticks are very clever, unfortunately for all of us, and they go to areas where they know that it's going to be a little bit harder for the animals to scratch them off. So often they will go underneath their throat or around their neck, or especially around their ears. However, it's part of nature around here, so everybody's well, how can I say this, well equipped from an immunological perspective to try and fight them off. Now it seems also that it started to rain a little bit, so I would assume Thandi is going to move off into an area where there's a little bit of cover a little bit later on, as soon as there's, if the rain does get worse than what it is now. Although, I don't know, it's been a strange day in terms of weather, but how lucky have we been? I think we've been incredibly lucky this morning, not only by the side of Stef back at Djuma, but also we had the Nkahuma cubs, almost a glimpse of the Birmingham boys going around, and then of course the wonderful time spent with Thandi, who's now decided to get up. So let's spend the last few moments having a look at her and see what she does.